All right, y'all. Welcome, welcome. This is Attorney Simone, your legal bestie. And we are here. We are going to do an update on Jay-Z and the goings on over there with Jay-Z and the Diddy lawsuit with Tony Buzbee's law firm accuser. Okay, now, if you have not seen me in a little while, I missed you. I missed you guys. Listen, I'm not showing my face because I look like a cat. Okay, I'm over here in Turkey. I woke up one day and decided I want a new nose. So I got a little work done over here. Okay, I'm healing. Right now. I look like a little cat. So we're not showing my face right now, but we giving you the tea. Okay, we still giving you the legal tea, etc. And so much has happened. The gist of which is that Tony Busby came out. His law firm had 2 alleged victims that have done interviews in the last week. And as a result, did nobody believe one of them. So the first one was a man who had filed his lawsuit as Jane Doe, claiming that he was a security guard at one of the Diddy parties and that he was then assaulted. We're going to start there. Y'all, we're going to start there. Because when I saw this man on the video, I thought, this don't even look right. This did not even look right. But I'm going to play the clip and I'm going to let you guys decide your thoughts there. Let me go ahead and add it. There we go. Here's what the male Jane Doe accuser stated in the CNN interview earlier this week.
According to your lawsuit, you were hired by a security firm to work security at one of the infamous white parties that was thrown by Sean Combs in the Hamptons. What was that experience like?
At first, he was incredibly friendly, very gracious.
Okay, so my first thought is when I looked at this man's silhouette, he looked like one of the priests at St. Elizabeth Catholic Church, my Catholic church that I went to elementary school at. He did not look, I'm going to just say, he don't look like Diddy's type. Why do I know? Because I used to date one of Diddy's sex workers. I mean, I got a type. Here we go.
You had a friendly chat, and then according to your lawsuit, at some point later in the night, Sean Combs himself offered you a drink. This didn't come from staff or someone holding a tray of drinks. It came from him directly.
Correct. The first drink started to have some effect on me, and I just thought, wow, these are really strong drinks. It wasn't until the second drink, and it was already too late, that I realized that there was something wrong with the drinks. Sadly, Sean Combs was waiting in the wings. He was watching from some sort of vantage point. And once I was in a helpless position and he was sure that he was in a position of power, then he took advantage of the situation.
You allege that you were forcibly pushed into an SUV by Sean Combs. That act alone, according to your lawsuit, left you in considerable pain. And then once inside the vehicle, your lawsuit says plaintiff was held down by Combs, who overpowered him while he struggled to escape due to the effects of the drugs in his system. And it goes on to say that he sodomized you.
I was screaming. I was telling him to stop.
Now it's going to go on.
It was incredibly painful.
Inconsistencies.
And he was acting like it was nothing. And he seemed to be disconnected from it.
Now, y'all, the other thing I noticed is this gentleman he looked like he's in his 60s.
He was abusive.
Okay. Pausing it right here. We got the bifocals. He's still got a little hair on his head, but he appears to be in his 60s now. That would have put him in his 40s previously, but let's continue.
Beyond belief.
It says representatives for Combs did not comment, but basically his legal team has denied everything. But here's the thing. There were
CNN's Elizabeth Wagmeister, who's been doing really amazing reporting on this subject, is here with your exclusive. What was it like to sit down with this man?
Now, 2 of the inconsistencies, well, one of them was the date. So this guy said that it was like 2006 and then later amended the complaint to say, oh, it must have been 07 because Diddy's was in Saint-Tropez in 06. So therefore, it could not have happened. He did not have a white party at the time discussed in 07. And the second thing is that the petition also stated that the man was not married. He actually was. Here's the thing. Those kind of inconsistencies, those happen when you have what we have here, which is a template, and you simply just use the same template for all your clients and you switch it out. So that, like, to have the year wrong by 1 year, not a big deal to me. To say the man was unmarried when he really was married, literally in petitions, that's a standard statement that you say this person is married or unmarried, and that was incorrect. That could just be literally sloppy lawyering. I had less of an issue with that. My bigger concern was just when I looked at the guy, I'm like, of all the, this sounds crazy, but just like, it wasn't looking at the guy, it was hearing the story and combined with seeing what looked like to be somebody's granddaddy. Is I just didn't see why, of all the men at the party, why would he pick a security guard? Here's what I'm comparing it to. There is a different John Doe. There is a John Doe who is claiming that he worked for, I believe it was Anichi, and that Anichi was in the Macy's stores, and that was a direct competitor of Sean John, and that Diddy cornered him in the back, like, stock room at Macy's and sodomized him there. When I say comparing the two, that sounds more, I hate to say it, but on brand for Diddy. The reason I say that is because it appears that Diddy uses this sodomizing as a way to show his power over someone else. And therefore, I could see it being more rational in the crazy criminal mind of Diddy to do that to a direct competitor of clothing, right? So he did that to Anichi or whatever the guy's name is, who was the direct competitor, who was a high up executive with the sales and so forth, doing that as a way of saying, ha, I'm going to do this. It's going to screw up your mind. It's going to screw up your mental. This man actually ended up losing his job, quitting his job, moving from New York. Macy's stopped selling the product. Okay. That's the level of viciousness that I see a Diddy doing. Someone like Diddy doing versus with the security guard. And I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying the incident with the security guard, other than just being a gross person, is not similar. Good point. Bring Them STV says, even if drugged, you would feel it afterwards. Correct. Wanda Young said Diddy's assistant has a claim too. I have not seen that one. Way. Yep, buck breaking. See Through You says the year only changed. We're talking about this man and the inconsistencies. The year only changed after the year didn't match the location that the witness claimed. So I call BS on the wrong year as well. Gotcha. Yeah, but now, next, I want to cite this letter. So first, the first person that came out, which was like 3 days ago, was this man who's somebody's granddaddy who's telling this account. Okay. Now I want to add to it. There was a letter that was filed by Jay-Z's attorneys on the 10th that Tony Buzbee then responded to and was like, lies, lies, lies. And now this is critical. Who is this calling me? Okay. This is critical. I'm going to jump down to the meat. This is Quinn Emanuel, Jay-Z's law firm. It says, on the afternoon of December 9th, after we had submitted the motion and accompanying exhibits, our offices received outreach via phone call and email from an individual who provided her name to us, though she wishes to remain anonymous. Marie Henderson, who's a worker at the law firm, Marie Henderson spoke to this woman, who informed Ms. Henderson that she previously reached out to the Buzbee law firm with respect to allegations of trafficking and abuse unrelated to Mr. Combs or Mr. Carter. The Buzbee firm representatives with whom she spoke asked the woman, when did she meet Diddy, even though her account did not relate to Combs at all. Now I have to say this. When you call into those numbers, you're calling into an intake hotline, and those people have a script. And I wouldn't be surprised if these are those offshore workers like from the Philippines, and really all they know how to do is stick with their script. But let's keep reading. It says, The Busby law firm representatives with who she spoke asked the woman when did she meet Diddy, even though her account did not even relate to Mr. Combs at all. Members of the Busby firm encouraged this woman to pursue her claims anonymously, even though she did not have any interest in doing so. When the woman raised wanting to talk to law enforcement, she was informed that it was not encouraged. After several outreaches, the woman again spoke with members of the Busby firm who she felt were pressing her to make allegations of being drugged, held down, and physically assaulted. Allegations that were not true. When the woman declined to adopt that version of events proposed by members of the Busby firm, she was summarily dropped as a client. Though the woman provided her identity to Miss Henderson, she wishes to remain unnamed for this time in fear of retaliation by the Busby firm. The information provided by this woman is in the declaration attached as A. I'm going to go back to, this is a really important part. It said here, it says members encourage her to pursue her claims anonymously, even though she had no interest in doing so. When the woman raised wanting to go to law enforcement, she was encouraged. It was, quote, not encouraged. I'm gonna tell you right now why it's not encouraged. Listen, come on. I don't have my gavel. Tap, 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 tap. I need my gosh darn gavel. I didn't bring it to Turkey. Here's why it might be discouraged. And I need you to hear it and hear it well. Is because when you also file criminal charges, what happens is the civil case, Diddy at any point now, because he's got an indictment going on, he can go to the judges of the civil cases and say, hey, stay these lawsuits. Stay meaning pause. He can say, I don't want nothing else to happen in these lawsuits. Pause it and let's proceed. Because under the law, remember you have the Fifth Amendment right to not incriminate yourself. Well, as long as there is a criminal case going on, anything that you say in a civil case can be used against you in your criminal case. So that's how come defendants have a right when there's a criminal case going on to go to the civil judge, say, hey, civil judge, pause these cases until my criminal case is resolved. Well, that's how come a lot of civil lawyers like Busby would discourage people from filing criminal stuff because it postpones their ability to get paid. Because whenever Diddy files, and I'm going to use the example. Remember, I was one of the attorneys. I actually filed the first New York lawsuit under the same law that they're now taking Diddy down under. I filed a lawsuit against R. Kelly doing that. And I filed it and I was like, y'all, we need to move this fast, fast, fast because he's about to get criminal charges. Sure enough, when the criminal charges began to be pursued, he stayed the civil cases and nobody got paid. Nobody except for one person got paid, and that was after all of the criminal stuff. So here, unless there's insurance to pay you out, which is unlikely for most of the pending victims, none of Buzbee's victims are going to get paid out by no doggone insurance. Then these civil attorneys may discourage victims from filing criminal stuff because they don't want to delay their ability to get paid. And that's the God's honest truth. So it was not about justice. It is about money. Well, see, Busby can't get paid from justice. Busby can't get paid if Diddy is, if all Diddy's money and assets are locked up in the criminal case. He only gets paid from a settlement. Hey, can I talk about Luigi and United? I sure can and will. Okay, so we will have that on the docket this week. We, the people, have to remember America does have a climate of racial hatred that is as old as time. Yes. All right. So, yeah. So I just wanted to be clear that you guys knew that part of the reason certain civil attorneys may be discouraging or telling people, we can deal with the criminal later, is because they know it would delay them getting paid. Now, we're going to jump over to Miss Alabama. I call her Miss Alabama. She is Jane Doe. This is the Jane Doe that brought Jay-Z into the fold. We're going to go to, I want to play the clip from her interview. Now, when she opened her mouth and I heard her voice, I said, oh, she sounds like a lie. She sounds like a lie. But I'm going to let y'all hear it. You tell me what she sounds like. Now, this is the Jane Doe that was allegedly 13 years old, went to the VMAs. You know, I had an issue with the fact that she allegedly had a friend drop her off at 13 years old in some parking lot near the VMAs, where she then began flirting and talking to drivers. That just sounded absurd to me for a 13-year-old to do back in 2000. But okay, here is her giving her own account of what happened.
Quiet long enough about what I've been through, and it's been hard enough to be quiet, but it's a chapter of my life that I'd like to close.
An NBC News review of her account found inconsistencies with her allegations. She says that she went to the MTV Video Music Awards in 2000 to catch a glimpse of her favorite celebrities.
You weren't scared to be all alone?
No, with having autism is like feeling like you live your life in a shatterproof juggle ball.
Girl, you a lie. Don't blame autism. Autism does not make you lie.
The world's on fire. The fire is inside the ball with you, but there's no way for you to get out.
In addition to having autism, the woman says she suffered.
Girl, what the hell does that have to do with you lying? You have autism. Let me tell you one thing about autistic people, and there are various different forms. They call it a spectrum because it varies with, you know, how people deal with it and how it impacts them. But let me tell you this. It doesn't make you lie. What it does for some people, I went to law school. The number one guy in my contracts class was autistic. For some people, it actually makes them hone in and be very, very specific with their facts. They are like, they will argue down. If you say something is blue, they'll say, well, actually it's turquoise. They can be down to the nines. So we're going to keep hearing this. Miss Thing.
Suffered a head injury. The night of the 2000s VMAs, she says a friend drove her from Rochester, New York to Manhattan, a more than 5-hour drive. Her attorney provided NBC News with the name of the friend who has since died. The woman says she spoke to Combs's limo driver who offered her a ride to an after party.
I stumbled upon Diddy's driver who told me that I was exactly what Diddy was looking for.
When I heard that part when it said, oh, you're exactly what he's looking for. And I knew it was a 13-year-old white girl. Now, maybe if I saw a picture of her and this 13-year-old looked like she was like 18, 21. But that just sounds crazy to say, oh, yeah, you what he's looking for. I just don't, we didn't talk like that back then. Now, he might be like, all right, you're his type, but what he's looking for, girl, you sound like you called a hotline because you were up after watching the Home Shopping Network at 3 a.m. and you were lonely because your kids don't like you and neither does your baby daddy, and you wanted someone to talk to, so you called the Buzbee hotline. Here's some more.
What did you think when he said that to you?
I thought it meant that I was just pretty.
She went to a White House, she says, where she spoke to musicians Benji Madden and his brother.
I'm talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo because, you know, I have about his tattoo that's the Last Supper because I have a religious background. So it was just something to talk about.
In a statement to NBC News, a representative of the Maddens confirmed that they did not attend the 2000 VMAs and that they were on tour in the Midwest at the time. At the after party, she says she had a drink that made her feel woozy. Then she says Combs and Carter took turns raping her while a female celebrity watched.
Jay-Z comes in and rapes me. Well, he at that point I was fighting, trying to get away from him, and he put his hand over my mouth and told me to stop it, cut the.
After the alleged rape, she says she ran to a
cut the ish. I don't even know if that sounds like Jay-Z.
Gas station where she called her father, who picked her up and drove her home.
We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did.
All right. I called BS right at that moment. Let me tell you something. I don't care your race, color, creed, nationality, language. If you are 13 years old and your daddy come pick you up in the middle of the night from someplace 5 hours away, you mean to tell me your daddy not finna ask you no questions? I know a lot of daddies that would have got to swatting, slapping you would have been in all kind of trouble. But one thing for sure is it ain't. I got to play that back because it just sounds so ridiculous, especially a daddy. My dad is going to be like, what the F is going on? And who do I need to pow pow? Who do I need to pow pow? Nobody is picking up a 13-year-old in the middle of the night after a 5-hour drive without asking questions. I'm going to play that part back just so y'all can hear how stupid it sounds.
Station where she called her father, who picked her up and drove her home.
We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did or where.
We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did. Part of the reason a parent is going to ask you what happened is because they need to know, should our next stop be the hospital or a police station? Girl, you ain't got no friends. She can't have friends. Because if she would have told this story to a friend would have helped her discover the holes and would have told her, girl, shut the hell up. Shut up. And I need to know all the, Mr. Busby, you didn't have these questions? Yeah, come on, we're going to hear a lot some more.
Where I was.
In an interview with NBC News, her father said he could not verify the claims. Quote, I felt like I would remember that, and I don't. I have a lot going on, but I mean, that's something that would definitely stick in my mind, he said. When we asked the woman about the contradictions in a phone interview on Friday, she said that she stands by her statements. I have made some mistakes, she said. Honestly, what is the clearest is what happened to me. The inconsistencies in her account of an incident alleged to have happened 24 years ago does not necessarily mean the allegations are false. The accuser's attorney, Tony Buzbee, said, because we have interrogated her intensely, she has even agreed to submit to a polygraph. This has been extremely distressing for her, to the point she has experienced seizures and had to seek medical treatment due to the stress.
Hold on. To the point that she's experienced seizures. Nurses, doctors, medical care providers in the chat. Tell me about stress giving you seizures. Generally, seizures are something that you are inclined to or have the ability to have like prior to something other than stress. Especially, this was self-created stress in that nobody told you you had to file a lawsuit. This is something you've chosen to do now 20-some years later. You could have, as we discussed earlier, filed a criminal complaint because the statute of limitations has not passed, Miss Lady. But also, let me roll back Mr. Busby's statement because we got a good comment here. There was a comment here I started. I want to add it. Oh, celebrity scandalous. Oh, thank you for the super chat. 2 questions. Couldn't Busby attach a police report exhibit in his complaint? He sure can. He wants to give you everything else. Remember, he put in exemplars, air quote, examples of how they would slide GHB into drinks that were not even from this case. It was from other cases. And number 2, the question is a doe revealed at some point during discovery, or do they remain doe the entire case? Here's what's interesting. Here, Busby had proposed in discussing, he said he would be open to identifying the person to Jay-Z's lawyers, but not Jay-Z himself at some point. Boy, bye. Get out of here. A defendant has the right to say, who? I've never met this B in my life. And if you prevent the defendant from knowing who the person is, how do they even defend themselves by saying, I don't know her? She a lie. So the answer is that it would depend. It literally has never happened before where there has been a civil case that's gone all the way to trial without identifying the person. Because even in the case that I had when I was filing against R. Kelly, it was a situation where we were doing Jane Doe because part of the allegation was that R. Kelly had given the client an STD. But R. Kelly and his lawyers themselves would know who the client was. They'd also know because he had actually dated her, bought her flight, blah, blah, blah. So the answer is Busby, if he could, would like to proceed without ever disclosing to Jay-Z the identity of the person. And remember, he wanted to have a, quote, mediation where don't know, okay, you want me to give you $1 million and you're not going to tell me the person's name? Get out of here. Kick rocks. Scram, Dodo. You don't, this sounds stupid. That sounds like a shakedown. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but because you're so famous, you need to go ahead and just pay these millions. I will hit you with a rock. All right. Oh, thank you, See Through You, for the super sticker. Appreciate that. Also, Ari says, Miss Redwine, do you think Buzbee knew this was BS, but used this as a deflection? He is working with the feds and Jay's alleged son to get the alleged son to have a court-ordered paternity test. No, I absolutely believe that. Hold on. And before I answer that, I want to just real quickly remind y'all. Oh, there we go. All right. Don't forget, guys, you can go to my website, SimoneRedwine.com. SimoneRedwine.com. You can schedule both. You can get my ebook there, which is Background Checks 101, how to the beginner's guide to finding out who the heck you're really dealing with. And then you can also come up here and click Book Hire Simone. Consultations start at just $149 for half an hour. I do consultations nationally, helping you create a legal strategy to resolve your personal legal issues. Now, back to it. So this is when people say it's getting messy. Remember, people would ask me, what's next? I was like, it's about to be messy, nasty, dirty. Gloves are about to be off. Jay-Z is going to do his darndest to get this guy either disbarred or at least suspended from the bar for some period of time. It's really hard to get disbarred, so I wouldn't even consider trying to do that. But to try and get him suspended for some period of time for this. And the question is, do we think Busby knew this was BS? So the answer is this. You got three law firms working on it. And when you just heard that lady speak, you could tell she was slow and something else was wrong. Now, to say she had a head injury, okay, that might help because it does sound like somebody hit her in the head with a pan. Because she sounded loony to the toonie. Oh, here we go. But I think it was probably more of a negligence. I don't think that he affirmly was like, oh, yeah, this didn't happen. I think negligence from the standpoint of so many cases, not enough staff, not enough vetting. Hit that like button, guys. We've got over 600 in the chat, but only 100 and some likes. But also, yes, with your question as well was about, here we go. Is he working with he is working with the feds. So that makes sense to work with the feds here. When you have 100 and some alleged plaintiffs, you're going to give the feds everything you need. But that's why I also say, if we want to figure out which of these cases have validity, look at which ones the feds are citing. Notice the feds in their indictment cited all the major victims referencing Cassie's complaint. That was by a law firm called Wigdor. Feds picked all that up. One of the people that they cite as a victim was Kid Cudi. Obviously, they cite Cassie, etc. See, the feds love when lawyers do a good job, do their due diligence, and basically bring them an organized investigation. The challenge with Busby's is we're gonna watch and see. Now, the feds may pick up some of Busby's victims. What I'll tell you is this: I have seen some of the feds' evidence personally, read it. I have read an affidavit from someone who was informed 20 years ago when it happened that Diddy had abused that person. Okay. So I say that to say that kind of evidence does exist in these cases. And the feds got that document when they were doing their investigation and then shared it. It's my understanding with the victim to say, hey, it's our understanding you were victimized and here's written proof. Do with this what you want. If you want to get a lawyer, if you want to pursue civil, whatever. So I say that to say here, it makes sense that Busby is working with the feds because if the more the feds help Busby, the stronger he'll be able to make any of his cases. But with the Jay-Z's alleged son to get that boy to have a court-ordered paternity test, that's just being messy. It really is. See, because with that case has been going back and forth, bouncing. And under the law, you can absolutely be ordered to take a paternity test. If there is, the gist of the standard is, think of it like probable cause to believe someone could be the daddy. Y'all have heard me speak of Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys. He was ordered to take a paternity test to prove whether or not a 25-year-old woman was in fact his daughter. You know what that man did? Got to shucking and jiving, tap dancing, filed a defamation lawsuit against her, filed all kind of documents to dip and dodge from having to take that test. But the reason the court ordered, and this was ordered like within the last 2 years, I think it was in 2023. The reason the court ordered Jerry Jones to take a paternity test in 2023 for a 25-year-old girl was specifically there was proof of two major things. Number one, her mother had a relationship with him, and her mother signed a document with Jerry stating that she would never contest paternity in turn for Jerry setting up a trust fund. And you know what he did? He set up the trust fund. So there we go. There was probable cause there, because now we've got this document. Who sets up a trust fund to pay somebody money for 25 years? It was 28 years, actually, for somebody that they may or may not be the daddy to. That's what probable cause look like. That little picture people keep putting up on the internet of them two big nose boys with them nostrils, that's not probable cause. Look, hey, my granny used to say all the time, you can't just put up a picture of a baby and be like, oh, he looked just like his daddy. You got to see all the candidates. Maybe that mama liked big nostril men. Maybe everybody she talked, brought into her bedroom had big old nostrils. And that's how that boy came out with big nostrils. Are they Jay-Z's nostrils or are they someone else's nostrils? I'm just saying. But I do believe that at this point, it's going to get real petty between Jay-Z's legal team and the Buzbee law firm. They're going to go back and forth, and Buzbee law firm will assist in ensuring that he makes Jay-Z and this little boy, this poor little boy with the nostrils, life hell. Well, he's not going to make the young man's life hell. He's going to try and help him prove Jay-Z to be a deadbeat dad, if possible. All right, we got another comment. It said the dad said he didn't find out about the whole situation until last week. What's Buzbee's excuse for not speaking to that man in October? That's my point. Thank you, C3U. Thank you, C3U. When I think of due diligence, this is what I'm talking about. How is there due diligence if you didn't call? Okay, so the girl that this lady allegedly went or dropped her off or went to this parking lot for the VMAs was with is dead. Okay, fine. Can't call the dead lady. Understood. Okay, but what work was done to find the driver, the alleged driver? Also to confirm, okay, she said she saw these other artists and that they had certain tattoos. All right, what evidence do we have that they had these tattoos back in 2000? And then as well, Daddy would be number one. I'm calling Daddy on the phone. Dad, tell me about the emotional turmoil of you having to come get your daughter after 5 hours in the middle of the night at 13 years old. Ain't now, because it was a doggone lie. Let's hear the rest of it. Hold on. Let's hear the rest of what CNN is saying on that. Just a lie.
In a statement to NBC News, Sean Carter said, this incident didn't happen, and yet he filed it in court and doubled down in the press. True justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory.
Is any part of you scared coming out against such powerful people?
Yeah, I'm scared of what could happen, but I'm more afraid of letting it eat me alive from the inside out than I am of, being chastised by their fans.
All right, Chloe Malas joining us now live. Chloe, we just heard a very strongly worded statement from Jay-Z. What else are you hearing from him and his team?
Yes, so his attorney said that they're going to ask the court to, quote, dismiss this frivolous case. And also moments ago, we heard from Diddy's legal team, and I want to read you some of what they said. They said, quote, this is the beginning of the end of this shameful money grab. And remember, he remains behind bars at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, and his criminal trial begins in May.
All right, very thorough reporting there, Chloe.
Okay. I want y'all to be really clear on what happens next here. Hold on. I'm going to make sure that I respond to some of these comments. Do a 23andMe test to see if you're linked to him through other relatives. That's genius. Okay, I'm here for the show is referring to options that the young man who claims to be Jay-Z's son is claiming that, or options that he could potentially take to try and establish either probable cause or a link to Jay-Z. No, absolutely. I love that the law protects grown people who want to know who their parents are. I feel like that should be an undeniable American right, is to find out who your parent is. Especially, because your parent could have lied to you. Your parent could have told you nothing. I feel like absolutely you have a right to find out who it is. But I also believe when it comes to individuals, especially celebrities, there needs to be a reasonable standard out there. So just anybody can't go harassing celebrities talking about, you my daddy. You my daddy, take a test. You my daddy. It says, I'm here for the shit. The mother has a sworn affidavit that she was 16 when she dated him. Now, here's the thing that is awkward to me. At some point, this mother, the mother who's alleging that Jay-Z was the dad, at some point, she was on government assistance. And the law for government assistance is that, and now this law did not come into effect until the 2000s, but the law, and I want to say around 2004 or afterwards, y'all can help me in the chat. The law said that, well, in order to get welfare or what have you, you got to put down somebody as the father. And then they get to test them, and then they can put that person down. So I'm curious with this. Did she ever put Jay-Z down on her food stamp application, on her Section 8 application? Or did she name somebody else that she was dating at the time? I'm not sure. But I believe that woman is now passed away. Yeah, Ebony Queen said it's totally insane if the attorney is not vetting clients before taking the cases. Here's the thing. We got to keep in mind. This man did not vet that crazy lady. I'm going to call her a crazy lady because we heard her. She sounded like she was making it up as she went. She sounded like today she got up and said, you know what? I think Jay-Z did something to me back in the day, but I'm autistic, so I can't remember. Girl. The reason I'm saying, like, in this instance, when we talk about that due diligence, how off that it was, because you don't just go by how someone presents. Those particular facts are would have been easy to double check. But also remember, this man was trying to force Jay-Z to a confidential mediation, threatening, if you won't go to this mediation with somebody who we're not even going to tell you her real name, we're going to out you and humiliate you, and you could lose millions in endorsements from the NFL and otherwise. Think about how oppressive that is to know, like, hey, someone could have ruined my entire, my endorsements, my all of those things for this kind of very clear lie. Thank you, Wanda. Wanda was clarifying that regarding the Jay-Z situation, the father on the birth certificate of the young man was tested and was not found to be the father. You're right. Yep. Jay-Z will never take that DNA test because it will prove he's because it would show that basically he was with that girl when she was 16 and he was a grown person. I don't care what anyone says. There's no way you're joined at the hip with someone like Diddy and your hands are completely clean. Hey, I like logical logic, and I can understand how someone could feel that way. IMO says Busby has been unethical though. It's called child support, Jay. Here's what's wild. If today Jay-Z is found to be the father, they can't force him to pay child support. The statute of limitations on child support for this young man has passed. So at this point, it is solely about this young man confirming for himself and his generations to come who his father is. Who his father is. Now let's talk about what is next for the Buzbee lawsuit. Now, I want to read this. This was Buzbee on the Twitter. Yep. Yeah. Let me confirm. The young man claiming to be Jay-Z's son, he does not want money. He wants to know who his father is. And again, that is a fundamental right that we have in America. And he is entitled to that if he can show basically probable cause that Jay-Z is the father. And the problem is this lawsuit has been going back and forth for years, and defaults have been issued, etc. Celebrities asked, can Ramir, the son, sue for his mom as a victim? He could sue for himself as a victim, but the pain and suffering, here's what's weird. When it comes to something like paternity, you can't sue for pain and suffering. Not the pain, because it would be the pain and suffering of your father not being in your life, or the pain and suffering of the extended litigation. None of those things are compensable under American law. Why? Because everyone with a deadbeat daddy would sue. Under the law, we have something that's called a slippery slope argument, which means basically if one person can make this, it's going to open the floodgates and people are going to storm all the courthouses with these same kind of lawsuits. And the American court system is just not equipped to handle this kind. This is the perfect example of that. Now here we are. I want to read this. Now, Buzbee is still sticking 10 toes down. Buzbee is saying they're not dismissing nothing, despite the inconsistencies that I'm found off this lady. And in fact, what Buzbee has said is that, quote, air quote, investigators from New York have called many of our firm's current and former clients. But what they didn't anticipate was that one of the clients decided to record the conversation. It's shocking and illegal. Here is a portion taken from the transcript. Now, I'll say this. The illegal part is if you know someone to be represented by a lawyer, the opposing side cannot contact somebody who's represented. However, if what you are doing is researching for the extortion lawsuit, so if this is Jay-Z's lawyers hiring investigators to reach out to people to collect evidence for the extortion lawsuit, then the law is a little more murky here. So here it says, the investigator says, on the transcript, it says, in a couple days or maybe next week, anyone Googling Buzbee and his company, his practice, are going into litigation. Okay. What we're trying to do is we're trying to put this thing together for the company that we're working for. Now, they're not saying what company they're working for, but whatever investigator is saying this. He says, we could get you paid. We could get you money right soon, you know. We gave this kid $1,000 to start yesterday just to get him on the right path. At the end of the day, this is going to go through the courts. Busby is getting sued. These are excerpts from the transcript. And it says, these guys are on tape offering to pay clients to sue our law firm. And that's a crime. Child, listen. Maria said, if I met Diddy, he would be hospitalized. Listen, not sure why people could say in there best friends with Jay-Z. When Tony Buzbee is out here and he's basically saying these investigators, now, first of all, we don't know if these are Jay-Z's investigators, Diddy's investigators, or a little bit of both. But what Buzbee is coming out to do is saying, hey, look, everybody over here these people have been over here acting unethically, trying to prove their case, in which case they could be up for sanctions too. The problem is this. Jay-Z's lawyers have now gone to the court and said basically, hey, we have evidence here that the Buzbee law firm has encouraged this woman to lie. And when she wouldn't lie, they dropped her. And now we have this evidence here from CNN that is saying this person has lied about the facts. The truth of the matter is, unless Tony Buzbee's firm themselves wishes to dismiss the lawsuit, the court is likely going to require Jay-Z's law firm to file a formal motion to dismiss, which would be a motion for summary judgment, a formal one, attach the facts, attach the affidavits, set a motion for hearing, and go that route. It's not good enough to just attach that CNN interview and be like, this bitch is lying. That's not how the law works. This bitch is lying. No, you have to file a motion and go through motion practice, which is going to cost thousands of dollars, which is also going to cost time. With summary judgment motions, which is a form of a motion to dismiss the whole lawsuit, you got to give the other side at least a 21-day advance notice of the hearing. So that means it's going to be at least another month. I say that to say, stay tuned, baby. It's going to be some more tea. It's going to be some more tea. An Apology Black says, listen, anybody who thinks Jay-Z is squeaky clean is just naive. It's a shame to have eyes, but no sight. Jessica said, I'm laughing at how hard y'all are going in the comments to condemn Jay-Z with no evidence yet. Brinsley says, the Jay-Z thing ain't over. Don't sleep at all. Well, you know, what's the name? Jaguar, right? Said there should be others that are coming out. We shall see. We shall see. Celebrity Scandalist, thank you for the super chat. She says, I'm thinking Ramir can sue on behalf of his mom as a minor victim of Jay-Z and bypass the DNA. What do I think? All right, we're going back to Ramir is allegedly Jay-Z's son who is fighting in the courts to simply get a DNA test. He is not asking for money, and the statute of limitations to get money has passed. So I actually think Ramir has a better chance of getting a DNA test established, especially given that his mother has now passed away. He has a better chance of that because he would be petitioning the court based on behalf of the facts as they've been relayed to him. So he doesn't necessarily have to prove everything that his deceased mother has told him. And the fact that he has a man on his birth certificate, that man was tested, that man was not found to be the father. These things move in favor of the DNA test. And I also think that he has a stronger claim on behalf of the son potentially, but the mom would not have, like, the mother's civil claim, which could be like failure to pay child support, those things. All of that has expired because she waited too late. So I actually think of the two, he has a better claim because his claim for the DNA test has no statute of limitations. You could be 7 years old, your daddy could be 95, and you could get a paternity test if the facts were right. See-Through says they claim his alleged daughter did it that way. Okay, through the mom. All right. Send me, drop a link or something like that. I would love to investigate that and be able to compare the two. But the conclusion is this, y'all. Stay tuned because Busby is not, at this point, Busby is not dismissing the case. And I don't see, even if Busby finds out that this girl is slow and her daddy is not going to support a thing, right now, I don't see Busby dismissing the case because he does not want to support the appearance as though he didn't do due diligence or as though he didn't know what he was talking about. If he's going to dismiss it, I could see him waiting for things to die down and it being like another month. But let's just watch and see. All right. Thank you guys for joining. Hit that like. I'm still abroad. I'm over in Turkey, y'all. I decided to buy me a new nose and stuff. So I'm over here healing. Right now I look like a cat. You'll see me soon. Oh, guys, I'm going to Ghana for Dirty December. So if you got a cousin, brother, homeboy that's going to be over there, you know, that's cute, you know, tell him that he should say hello. Follow my Instagram page. I want a husband. All right. Bye, guys.